The movie starts at a house located on the northwest coast of Mexico, where a man named Richard is having breakfast with his son, Taylor. As Richard prepares food for Taylor, he inquires about whether Taylor has finished his homework. Taylor remains silent and goes back to finishing his meal. Ever since Taylor's mother passed away a few months back, he has become rebellious and seldom talks to his father. The bond between Taylor and Richard is distant, with Taylor harboring resentment and holding his father responsible for his mother's death. Richard, being a single parent, does his utmost to ensure his son receives love and attention. After breakfast, Taylor asks Richard for some money and gets ready for school. Once Taylor leaves, Richard receives a call from the school reporting that Taylor has been involved in a physical altercation with other students. The school advises Richard to caution Taylor against repeating such behavior as he has been engaging in school violence for a while. Later in the day, Taylor returns home. Richard, who just finished his work as a carpenter, attempts to talk to Taylor about the school issue. However, Taylor evades the conversation and expresses his unwillingness to discuss the matter further. Richard advises Taylor against using violence as a solution, but Taylor ignores his advice. Before retreating to his room, Taylor defends himself by explaining that he had to confront the other boys because they insulted his mother and called him an orphan. Hearing Taylor's reasoning, Richard is overwhelmed with guilt for everything that has transpired. He assured Taylor that he would make an effort to be a good father to him. Taylor received martial arts training from his father and began practicing the moves in his room. Later on, Richard reminded Taylor to complete his homework as his teacher had been trying to reach him. Richard then went back to his job as a software developer. Previously, he had worked as a computer expert and an intelligence agent for the National Security Agency. Richard had been a top agent in his organization, known for apprehending dangerous criminals in Mexico before he decided to leave his post. One day, while engrossed in his work, Richard was unexpectedly shot with a tranquilizer dart from a distance, causing him to lose consciousness. When he regained consciousness the next night, Richard received a call from a mysterious man who addressed him as Nero. The mysterious man claimed to be aware of Richard's past as a skilled operative once known as the Killing Machine. He revealed that he had kidnapped Taylor, using the name Nero which Richard had used during his covert operations. The man then sent a video showing Taylor held captive, threatening to kill him with poison gas unless Nero carried out a mission. Feeling compelled to comply, Nero prepared to undertake the task assigned by the mysterious man. The man equipped Nero with weapons, ammunition, and a camera to document his actions live. Additionally, he provided a bulletproof SUV with GPS guidance to the designated location of the mission. Without knowing the specifics of the task, Nero hurried to the location as instructed by the mysterious man. During the journey, Nero managed to talk to Taylor, reassuring him that everything would turn out fine. When the call ended abruptly, Nero requested the mysterious individual to ensure his son's safety. The enigmatic figure responded that Taylor's well-being hinged on Nero's trust in him. Upon reaching a specified hotel, Nero received instructions from the mysterious man to eliminate two rival drug cartels, the Rosa and Garza cartels, who were in a meeting. The focus then shifts to the mysterious man, who had abducted Taylor and was revealed to be Mzamo, a drug cartel leader. His goal was to eliminate his competitor cartels to assert control over the drug network in Mexico. By kidnapping Taylor, Mzamo sought to leverage Nero's expertise to eliminate his rivals without direct involvement. Nero was directed to the hotel where he engaged in combat with numerous armed members of the Rosa and Garza cartels, swiftly taking them out. After clearing the main room, Nero meticulously searched and eliminated the remaining cartel members throughout the building, culminating in a fierce skirmish in the kitchen. Upon accomplishing the task, Nero swiftly departed before law enforcement could arrive. However, Mzamo assigned Nero a new target location, signaling that the mission was not yet over. While observing the events through a camera feed alongside his associates and wife, Alanza, Mzamo appeared to derive pleasure from the game he orchestrated for Nero. In the meantime, Mzamo's partner, Donovan, a fellow cartel leader, inquired about the progress of their scheme. Donovan informed Mzamo about Nero's whereabouts and suggested using Nero for the mission. Nero arrived at the second location based on the given coordinates and readied himself to take down another cartel group led by Eliezer Machado. Inside a bar, Nero was instructed to eliminate all cartel members gathered on the third floor. Armed with weapons and ammunition, Nero successfully eliminated all the members of the cartel. He then confronted Eliezer in a room, where he was socializing with a woman. Nero swiftly took down Eliezer in front of Mzamo and others. After completing the second task, Nero requested Mzamo to allow him to speak with his son. Nero expressed regret to Taylor for involving him in a dangerous situation. He revealed to Taylor that he used to work as an intelligence agent in a special unit that required him to interact with criminal organizations. Nero shared with Taylor that his mother was killed due to a betrayal by his partner, who disclosed Nero's identity to criminals. Understanding the truth, Taylor apologized for harboring resentment and blaming his father unjustly before the phone call ended. Meanwhile, Mzamo approached Taylor, offering him a sandwich and engaging him in conversation. The next morning, Nero arrived at the location of the rival cartel's headquarters following the provided coordinates. On the other hand, Donovan returned to Mzamo, cautioning him to be vigilant and act swiftly after Nero completed his mission, fearing retaliation. Mzamo assured Donovan not to worry, citing Taylor's captivity as leverage over Nero. Nero refused to take any actions that would endanger his son's life. Meanwhile, Taylor attempted to free himself from the sticky rope using a metal blade, and he eventually succeeded in breaking free. At the same time, Mzamo and his men were enjoying the entertainment arranged for Nero in his living room. He even urged his cartel members to show their support for Nero to ensure the success of his mission. On the other side, the leader of one of Mexico's largest drug cartels, Griego, received reports from his associates about the massacre of 3 rival drug cartels. He warned his men to stay alert as their cartel could be the next target. Meanwhile, Taylor, now untied, tried to force open the door using a piece of wood. While Nero had reached the Griego cartel and swiftly launched an assault. Armed with rifles and grenades, he systematically took out members of the drug cartel. Tragically, after eliminating the troops in the yard, Griego shot Nero, turning off his camera in the process. Witnessing Nero's death, Mzamo felt a mix of disappointment and satisfaction, knowing that his 3 rival drug gangs had been wiped out. Meanwhile, Donovan was relieved that a potential threat to his safety was eliminated. Nevertheless, Mzamo sought to pay tribute to Nero, who had faced numerous enemies alone, by sending his men to attack Griego's stronghold and avenge Nero's supposed death. Unbeknownst to them, the real Nero was alive and undergoing interrogation by Griego and his men. Griego demanded to know who had sent Nero to his base and ordered the attack on the cartel. Nero explained that he was coerced into carrying out the mission because the person who had called him had kidnapped his son, forcing him to comply in order to ensure his son's safe return. Nero acknowledged that he lacked knowledge of the individual who had abducted his son and coerced him into carrying out the mission. This mystery figure often emphasized the importance of trust. Griego came to the realization that the mastermind behind the kidnapping was Mzamo, a prominent drug cartel in Mexico that had been his adversary for years. Nero recognized Mzamo's name and inquired about his whereabouts, but despite Griego sharing this information, he still intended to eliminate Nero. However, before Griego could act, members of the Mzamo cartel arrived, causing chaos at Griego's base. Capitalizing on the distraction, Nero fought back, freed himself, and defeated Griego's men before ultimately killing Griego. Seizing the opportunity, Nero grabbed Griego's laptop and car keys to prevent Mzamo from tracking him. Meanwhile, Donovan remained uneasy as Nero's son was still in danger. He contemplated executing the boy to eliminate the threat. Initially, Mzamo resisted Donovan's demands and refused to hand over the keys to where Taylor was held captive. However, after Donovan threatened to disrupt his operations, Mzamo relented. On another front, Nero utilized the stolen laptop to pinpoint the location of Mzamo's headquarters and set off to rescue his son. Simultaneously, Donovan and his team exposed Taylor to a lethal gas in the car garage to ensure his demise. Despite their preparations, when they opened the car door, Taylor was nowhere to be found, leading Donovan to suspect that Nero had already intervened and taken Taylor to safety. At that moment, Nero managed to sneak into Mzamo's residence by scaling the rear gate. In the meantime, Donovan instructed his team to be ready and informed Mzamo that Nero had seized Taylor. Mzamo claimed responsibility for concealing Taylor, fearing that Donovan might harm the boy if their plan failed. Despite being the head of a prominent drug syndicate in Mexico, Mzamo held a strong aversion to violence, especially when it involved children, prompting him to safeguard Taylor. Amidst the confrontation, Nero suddenly emerged, aiming a firearm at Donovan. Unbeknownst to many, Donovan was a former intelligence operative who had once partnered with Nero but had ultimately betrayed him, leading to the tragic death of Nero's wife. Enraged by Donovan's series of betrayals, Nero shot him and his cohorts, engaging in a fierce firefight. Despite the intense battle, Mzamo assisted Nero in neutralizing Donovan's men. As ammunition ran out, Nero found himself challenged to combat one of Donovan's henchmen without the aid of weapons. After subduing all threats, Nero turned his gun on Mzamo, compelling him to release Taylor. Mzamo implored Alanza to free Taylor from his hidden confinement. Relieved to discover his son unharmed, Nero contemplated avenging Mzamo for his deceitful actions. However, Mzamo cautioned Nero against resorting to violence, reasoning that eliminating him would only perpetuate a cycle of vengeance. Mzamo warned that if Nero executed him, his vengeful brother would seek retribution, setting off a never-ending cycle of bloodshed. Conversely, permitting Mzamo to live would ensure Nero's safety and that of his family, considering Mzamo's status as the last remaining drug cartel force in Mexico. After taking everything into account, Nero made the choice to spare Mzamo's life to ensure the safety of his son, trusting that Mzamo would uphold his word. The film concludes with a final scene showing Nero arriving home with Taylor on a Harley motorcycle gifted to him by Mzamo. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell if you want to watch more videos like this. Thank you for watching and see you again soon. Take care.